This is breaking news.
The United Federation of Teachers is holding a press conference as students return to New York City public schools for in-person learning. Let's go to that now.
And as well as the rest of the staff. So there's always constant communication and conversations, whether it's through text, email, virtual, Zoom, and always just seeing, well, something's changed either on the U of T end or on administration end in the DOE, and well, what do we need to do to better prepare our school so that we can reopen? So it was always a communication and conversation between myself, Mr. Willie, Ala Cornfield, and the instructional leadership team. And we'd always come back with ideas about what we need to do to plan and what's the best plan for our school community, and then we would share it with the staff. We would get information from the staff and hear what their thoughts were, and then we would convene again and then talk about what did the staff think and what do we need to do in order, again, make sure that everybody is safe. So it's really just been a long, tiresome battle, but we are here and we're finally ready and we're opening, and this is what we've been working for this whole time. So we're just happy that we're at this point now and that we are as ready as we can be, and we are prepared, so we know that. Thank you.
I want to personally thank Emily and all the chapter leaders and union leaders in all the schools in New York City. This has not been an easy time for any teacher or any staff member or secretary or anything, but to be a union leader and also try to organize all of this in this very chaotic opening, I want to thank them personally for taking on that role and making sure that our schools are safe. I'd now like to bring up Dominica McPartland, ESL teacher here at University Neighborhood High School. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So this is the day. I'm Ms. McPartland. I teach ESL. I'm also a member of Instructional Leadership Team, and I really want to say that we are ready. We've been ready for a couple of weeks now, and seeing all the news and all different talk, this is not the case. We are here. Our school is safe. It looks great. All the rooms are prepared. We have disinfectant stations, charging station technology. Everything is ready for our students, and we are ready. So I want to talk a little more about instruction. We are not just ready because we're safe here. We are ready because we're ready to teach, and the kids are ready to learn. So they coming in, and throughout this summer, we've been working on making our instructional delivery really perfect. So we're making sure that every cohort has assignments given on particular days, that the assignments are of certain length and they're not overwhelming for the students. And the students who are remote and students who are in person can benefit from our instruction the same way. And really, I don't think there is a teacher in the school who won't say that. Like, we are all ready to teach our students. Our administration has been great with providing, extra staff. So we have a few substitute teachers who are not currently teaching a class, but they're here and they're learning from us how to use our resources, our technology, and if there is need, they will be helping in our classrooms. Right now they are placed in tutoring sessions and they are just supporting our students remotely, but they're here with us. We have paraprofessionals who are bilingual and who are helping us. Everybody is fluent on Zoom, everybody is good with technology. And yeah, we're all working together to make this the best school year for our kids. And they're excited. They're coming. They're excited to come and see us. So, thank you.
Well done. Well done. I mean, some of you have been at every opening with us, and I just want you to see it at every step of the way, what the teachers are doing and everything they're doing, the different challenges from the different divisions. And Dominica just laid that out perfectly about all the instructional challenges that we face, but they have figured that out. And it's not easy, and I want everyone in the city to understand that. This school system is open, and it is under the most stress it's ever been, and it is not easy. This is the greatest challenge we've ever faced, but clearly our teachers are up to the task. I'd now like to bring up Curtis Buckner, a special ed and social studies teacher here at the neighborhood high school. Come on up, Curtis.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to say, as we're here, I guess this is one of those moments in life, and it's a very serious moment. Everyone here, from the UFT to the administration to staff, students, and parents, have done everything they can to make this building safe throughout since the beginning of this pandemic. But I would also like to say we do have our concerns. We have our concerns because no matter how much we prepare, there are certain things that are beyond our control. So all we ask, because we're the ones here doing this every day, all we ask, right, that whatever decisions are made are not based on politics, they're not based on economics, but they're based on preserving lives. So with that being said, we're going to continue to give 110%, and we hope no more lives are lost. But we do ask those who make the decisions, keep preserving life at the forefront of their minds. Thank you all, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Curtis. Well done. Thank you, Curtis. So, look, we're going to monitor everything, and Curtis's words were very appropriate. This whole journey since March has been about, if we're going to reopen our school system, how do we make sure it's safe? And then we've had our struggles, challenges, and basically fights over policies, over procedures, over equipment, over making sure things are done right, over we need actual evidence. You can't just hand us a sheet of paper saying everything's good at that school. Those days are over. So now that the schools are open, we move into the phase of monitoring everything, complete transparency. If there's a problem, we deal with it. We don't hide it. We don't try to sweep it under the rug. We will not go back to March. We are moving forward with our school system. We are moving forward, making sure that we're doing everything for the safety of our students, our staff, and everyone's family who are connected to in every school community. So I thank all of these teachers again for what they're doing, and a shout out to every title again. Our paraprofessionals, our secretaries, our therapists, all of our different specialists, our labs technicians, every single title in our wonderful school system and what they're doing in meeting this challenge. And we should all, again, be thankful as a city that we have this phenomenal, the best force of our public school system anywhere in the United States. So now I'll take some questions. Out.
Can you tell us about specifics on teacher numbers that you still need? What is the number that you need?
I'm at this point, we're assuming we need a couple of thousand more teachers, which is why, especially at the high school level, we're seeing some high schools that have very limited programs. Thankfully, those numbers are small, but the reality is that without the staffing, which is why we pushed back the opening from the 21st till now, we were very clear that without additional staffing, we could not open safely. This school is ready to go. Thankfully, majority of the high schools are ready to go in terms of their in-person live instruction, but we have some that are not. And then we have some who definitely need, our need for remote teachers is probably the greatest challenge that we have right now, because in this division, the number of students who have opted for full-time remote is higher than our other divisions.
To follow up on that, can you just say how many schools are doing the students coming, but they'll be on their laptops?
I don't have a specific number at this point. I know of a handful, and I knew you'd be asking me that question, but until I actually get the definitive number, I don't want to put one out in the press. But as soon as we get it, I will give it to you. I have no issues with giving anyone any numbers as long as I know they're real.
What is the percentage of upper school students that are staying at home and those coming in?
Well, the percentage for high schools from the official, remember we have official percentage that those are parents who actually communicated to the school that they're staying remote, but in every division there was an uptick because there are what we call the unofficial remotes, parents who did not communicate but are now have made that decision. So the high schools are over 50%, and we'll get you the number, probably the appropriate number would come in the middle of next week. but we're expecting somewhere above 60% is what I would guess at this moment, but I'll wait to see the real number.
And some high schools have decided on their own to go all remote?
Nobody decides on their own. Any school that has done that is because the Department of Education has approved it. And the Department of Education knows that if a school is asking for those things based on safety, that it is the decision to make is to do that. But no school makes that decision on their own.
I have a question. So since the numbers are up again in cluster zip codes and more zip codes are seeing spikes, are you going to demand that the city close the schools in those high code zip codes until the city gets a handle on reducing the numbers? And are you worried about the safety of students and teachers in those cluster zip codes?
I'm worried about the safety and the students of all the teachers and students, but I am particularly concerned right now in those zip codes. We have worked with H&H to get a lot of additional testing for our school communities. Those school communities are being tested every day right now. The majority of them, it's voluntary, but we are getting a major percentage in terms of the percentage of people are doing the testing. But if those numbers don't come down, this is where it's going to land up in a bit of a fight. Because if they can't get those numbers down, I know that the mayor is continuing to say that it's at 3% and it would be the entire city, all or none. That does not work for us. And if that means we have to go to court or do something else, we will. We did not come this far, and no school is an island. We have to take care of all of them.
So you will demand that they close them?
If this continues, if they don't get this trend down, yes, we would definitely be demanding that those schools start to be closed.
Also, are you joining in with the principals union to vote no confidence to the mayor? I mean, I know you voice your frustration, but would you join in with them?
It depends on what he does in the next couple of days in terms of these things. Yep.
There's a letter going out from the DOE and DOH to New York City public school parents saying that if families do not consent to the random testing, then those families or those kids won't be required to be tested. My understanding is one of your requirements with reopening had to do with random testing. Any response to that?
The letter, if you read through it, looked like it was written by a lawyer trying to find a little loophole out of it, but it does say in the end that if students are basically chosen in random. Random means random. We don't choose the student based off whether they have a consent form or not. If they do not, if they are chosen and they don't have a consent form, then they will have to move into remote instruction.
And you've spoken with the mayor about that and clarified about that letter?
I've spoken to City Hall about that specifically. I was not happy with the way the letter, I said, when the mayor is at a press conference and says that this is mandated, and you send out a letter that says it is not mandated, but in the bottom it makes it, you do a backdoor into the mandating. I said, we don't need this garbage at this point in time. Stop with the, communicating in different ways, because all that does is cause confusion. And that's the last thing we need at this moment. We need to be clear, specific, explicit, whatever way you want to say it. That's what we need at this moment. I was very unhappy with that letter yesterday.
Does that start today?
No, that will, we actually, because we pushed back the start of school, that will start next week.
Do you know which day?
Probably Monday or Tuesday.
How do the elementary schools do, and are you monitoring COVID cases, and are there any COVID cases in the schools?
We have our first school on quarantine today. The first school that went into it's John F. Kennedy School, District 75 school in Queens. It's the first school on quarantine. What we do right now is on a nightly basis, we get a list of anyone who's attached to a school. Student, staff, teacher, doesn't matter, anyone. Now, it also means that some of those students have never been into the schools. Some of the teachers are working remotely, but we get a list of any school community that has a positive COVID case. And then what we do is our folks work with the test and trace people to actually start deciphering everything that has happened at that school and what are the appropriate next steps.
And today there was a report that it's going to cost several $1 million to do this random testing. I believe 20% of school people in the school.
Depending on the size of the school, it basically averages about 15% of everybody on a monthly basis.
Okay, now I'm just wondering if you're confident in the city's testing and how it's being rolled out, and it's an awful lot of money to spend. I understand there needs to be testing, but you're also, wanting to make sure that there's enough PPE and all that stuff.
When it comes to the safety of our school communities, the expense is something that is absolutely warranted. I wouldn't even question what we're spending on this at this moment, because this is the way. When independent medical doctors tell you you need a medical monitoring program, and that's the only way to ensure the final safety piece, then you do it. People who do not listen to doctors, states and school systems who did not listen to doctors, have gotten themselves into a lot of trouble. And a lot of families and students have suffered because of it. And what we're doing here in New York City is saying that's not going to happen here.
So the fact that there's not enough teachers for the first day of school, whose fault is that? Who do you blame for that? And is that acceptable?
It's not something that's acceptable at this point, but then the decision has to be made. The more important decision is, fine, continue to keep hiring. Both the principals union and our union have made considerations inside of our contracts. We just finished an agreement to give stipends for substitute teachers, so that, and we understand that that is working. That was finished yesterday, and we were informed last night that it's been highly successful. But the real issue then becomes, all right, here's a school, they don't have the proper staff. If they open in person today, will they be safe? The answer is no. Then you go remote. That's what everyone has to get used to. If the safety comes first, there will be times when when school communities might have to flip the switch and go remote. We're not closing down our schools. It's, are we live or are we remote? That is really the two new things that schools will operate under: live or remote, or hopefully live and remote, which is basically means that all the schools are functioning with the full staff.
What's the mayor's response to you by saying we have to close those specific schools down in the cluster zones? Has he responded to?
I think he talks about it every day at his press conferences. My conversations with him in terms of the safety is, we're going to get the trend down. And we've been informed about all the different things they're doing in those neighborhoods. Many of you have reported on this, but we will see in the next couple of days. Yesterday, some of the neighborhoods actually went up, some went down, but we need to see. We're looking at a 5 to 7 day average, which we'll have by this weekend.
When you say go to court, what does that mean?
That means, well, you'll know when I go, but it's on the table. But I'm not going to hide it. You'll all know. Okay? And again, and I want to thank the principal here, Mr. Willie, because everybody here has said that he's really worked this as a team, and that's what all of our schools need. And I want to thank him. And again, let's give a hand to all these folks for what they've done, because they got our schools open.